Hey, everybody. Welcome to an episode of Real Drinks with A. Ali Flores. I'm your host, A. Ali Flores, and this is the fun podcast where we're going to talk about movies and we're going to drink. And you know what? That's the most fun is when you drink and talk about movies. And today our guest is a longtime friend of mine, Mr. Frank Cardillo. Frank, how you doing?
Ali, what is going on?
Not much, brother. Not much, man. Thanks for coming on, man.
No, it is my pleasure. I'm happy to participate, and I'm happy to drink, of course.
Excellent. So Frank and I go way back. We met back in 95?
It's a quarter century, my friend. A quarter century.
How? 25 years ago. We went to UCF together. Boom.
Yeah.
And theater department where we excelled in softball.
We did. We probably should make our own movie about a theater softball team. I think it'll go a long way.
I just love the fact that all the fraternities and stuff like that, they were always angry when we'd beat them.
Yes, they were.
We're losing to theater people.
Yeah, they were excited to play us and angry when it was over. Is basically how it was
kind of shocking that we had a lot of athletic people in the theater.
We had a lot of people willing to play, a lot of athletic people, and I think what really worked for us is we knew how to build an ensemble. And so the team aspect of it, I think, outweighed a lot of, and was a big factor in a lot of the games we played.
Yeah.
We were really supportive of one another. It was great.
And then we brought in some ringers, some people that were close to us, like my roommate, and he and I, we played baseball growing up together, and Rick was massive.
That's always the wild card of the sports movies. You got to bring in a ringer. You got to bring in the heavy, and then we got to figure it out without them when they're not there. That's when it picks up. It's like, he's not going to be here today. What do we do?
So, Frank, you've been doing a lot of acting. You've been doing. I know that you've been doing what is it? The Sterling Renaissance Festival.
I've been doing the Sterling Renaissance Festival for about 20 years. Mm-hmm.
Holy cow!
Yeah.
So. Talk to me about that. What happened? I've never been, so I don't know what it is.
I had never been to a Renaissance Festival before I auditioned in 2000, but what I did, and you know this too, Ali, is I was a big fan of interactive participatory theater, improv theater, as it were, the Citizens of Hollywood over at what is now Disney's Hollywood Studios. Growing up as a teenager, that is what basically made me want to be a performer. And Gary Izzo, who is active in the origins of that troupe, is still the creative director at the Sterling Renaissance Festival. And I thought I had just moved back to New York City, and he was holding the auditions in New York City. And I was like, maybe this is a way for me to learn how to do this the right way. And it was, and I really enjoyed being upstate New York all summer long, out of the city. I enjoyed doing that kind of theater, still enjoy, I only go back part-time now. And, but when I do that, the rush of interacting with the audience and having them keep me on my toes is, the greatest.
That's awesome. Now, did you ever dabble? Did you ever do any of the film, television stuff?
When I was in my 20s was not my thing. Could I see myself going back to that someday? Perhaps, but at the time it just didn't do it for me. I needed the rush, and I think that plays into the athletic aspect of it too. Of growing up with sports, it was an easy transition to theater in some ways.
Nice. So, all right, let's get down to business. We talk about movies here, and what I like to do is bring on a guest, and we'll talk about one of your favorite movies. And which movie are we talking about today?
We are talking about 1989's Major League.
Boom.
Major League, yeah.
Starring Charlie Sheen. Man, it's one of my favorite movies as well. I love that movie.
We
It's
are
so
men of a similar age. I feel like that is a big movie, a seminal movie in our lives.
yeah, very much so. Um, and there are a lot of baseball movies out there. You've got, Bull Durham, another good one. You've got Field of Dreams, The Natural, Eight Men Out, all these great movies. What makes this movie stand out?
What's really funny to me, especially revisiting it here the last couple of days, is that yeah, Major League came out a month and a half before Field of Dreams, and a couple of years before, after rather, Bull Durham. And I feel like some people in our age range are very much like Bull Durham. Bull Durham was my baseball movie, and I call BS on that. I think Major League. I think you're just saying that because it's the cooler movie to pick. But Major League, everyone who played baseball played on a team of misfits at some point. And often baseball movies are misfits. But if you really, when you break it down, what it does really well underneath all the hijinks and the shenanigans and the extraordinary characters is it has a lot of really good baseball details. And it has it plays to big moments really well. And I mean, I'm sure we'll go into some of those bigger moments, but what's layered underneath, and this is a testament to the screenwriter / director, that it really focuses on connecting the characters of the story within those bigger moments.
Okay, before we get too deep into the conversation, because you're bringing up some really good stuff. Let's talk about the second half of the real drinks part.
Nice.
I like to ask my guest what kind of beer or drink that you like to have either while, just watching a movie or create a drink based on the film.
Mhm.
And you've chosen.
I have chosen the Holy Mimosa, which is a drink that is sometimes served at the Great Lakes stand over in Progressive Field, what used to be Jacobs Field, the Jake, what have you, home of the Cleveland Indians. And I recently I've learned about the drink, and I live in New York City, so I'm a big brunch guy. So I like mimosas. I like those kind of drinks. So I thought this was one worth trying for the first time here on Real Drinks with Ali Flores.
I love it. So you've never had it before?
I've never had it. I'm doing it right here for the first time. Yeah, true.
What are the
story.
ingredients? Tell the viewers, listeners, what is it?
This is the listeners, but just in case,
Oh, we're throwing this
I
on
got
YouTube.
the visual. I got the visual going too. So
yeah, this will be on YouTube. So
yeah, there you go. So I got the Great Lakes Brewing Company Holy Moses White Ale. So okay. Great Lakes Brewing Company based out of Ohio. I'm going to put that down there. And then what you do here, I'm going to bring it over. I got the bottle right here. So you pour the bottle into a big glass. I already set up my garnish. I'm ready.
Wow.
So I'm not the best pourer in the world. So we really don't know how this is going to go along the way here. So I'm really excited to, I got to save some room
for the. So it's just the beer?
It's the beer. Wait for it. I got the orange juice right here. Now, it doesn't have to be orange juice. It can be pineapple juice. It can be grapefruit juice, whatever your fruit juice of choice is. Okay. I have selected the orange juice because I am a classic mimosa person.
Excellent. So those are the two ingredients.
That's it. Juice, beer.
I'm going to go get mine.
All right, you do it.
We're drinking this together.
Yeah. All right,
second.
We'll do it for the first time. I'll vamp. I'll vamp. So again, the 12 ounces of the white ale and the 4 ounces of the juice, whatever that juice happens to be. So I'll try to measure this out to 1/3 here as I wait for Ali. I'll do it real slow, along the way. And now I will wait. It'll give some time to get in there. And I'll vamp a little more on the Great Lakes Brewing Company of Ohio. My good friend Charles, he's from Ohio. And the Holy Moses White Ale, an intrepid crew of spices and orange peel blaze a trail to a refreshing, light-bodied landing. Fancy. And now he's back.
I'm excited. I'm excited. So I went with the, let me see if it'll pick it up. It doesn't really pick it up.
Mm-hmm.
It is
Love
the
it.
Einstock white
Nice.
Icelandic white ale.
Yeah. Couldn't find the Great Lakes in O-Town. A little
I
difficult.
could not. Actually had a hard time finding this one. I went to a couple of different liquor stores,
Mm-hmm.
and a buddy of mine who enjoys beer, I reached out to him. I said, "Where do you get your rare beers? It's hard to find." He told me a place, Regency in Winter Garden, for those of you listening in that area.
Okay.
They've got great beer. And I went over there. I said, "I'm looking for a white ale." And he goes, "How did you know? We just got these in 2 hours ago." He goes, "You came to the right place." He goes, "These are your best white ales." So I was like, "Okay, I will try this." So you just pour the white ale.
Mm-hmm. It was meant to be for you to find the white ale this glorious day. There you go. Yeah, you're a better pour than I am, Ellie.
I'm an alcoholic. I don't have the fancy garnish, though, but I do have the vintage Tampa Bay Devil Rays glass.
There you go. It's baseball themed.
Yes.
It's acceptable.
It's the only thing I had.
We'll take it.
And my orange juice.
And your orange juice.
Orange juice.
What? I had a Minute Maid bottle there. What is your orange juice of choice typically?
My orange juice is simply orange.
Oh, okay.
I'm basic. I'm basic.
And are you an alcoholic, or is it just that you're dehydrated all the time because you live in Florida and you can't keep up?
All the time. Ooh, I liked it. It gave it a nice color with the orange juice. It looks good.
Yeah. Here we go.
All right.
Ready?
Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh, that's nice.
Oh, hooray. I like it.
Oh, that's good. That's dangerous good, because that's stuff that you keep drinking and you don't think you're getting drunk at the baseball field.
That's right.
And you're like, all right, we're at the park. We're having a good time. It's like, man, that was really refreshing. I'll grab another one.
And the sun is hot and you're dehydrated. That's how it goes.
And then 4 of these later, you're like, I need an Uber. Ali, you're still in the stands. I don't know where my seat is.
I think I saw you do that at a Chicago Cubs minor league game in Orlando many years ago. We didn't have Ubers back then, but similar.
Well, let's not bring up old shit, dude. Let's not bring up old shit. Why you gotta bring up shit like that? Okay, so that's delicious. The Holy Mimosa, man, that's
Holy
good.
Mimosa.
Okay, so baseball. It's a great baseball film.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about it. People that play baseball, you played baseball. You started when you were little, correct?
Yeah, I played Little League from when I was 6, and I played until the fall semester of my freshman year of college when I realized it was over. My arm was
what
done.
was that like? Because I have my story of that. What was it like for you?
It actually, I'm sure if it was current day situation, I would have had Tommy John surgery in 10th grade.
Ooh.
And because I think something was wrong with my elbow I played third base. I threw hard from third base, and I think I just blew it out when I moved up to varsity in 10th grade because I was trying to prove myself. And that carried over through all the way through that freshman year. You know, they tried to move me to first base, but my glove was too good, so they had to keep me at third. They had no one else to play the position as well as I did there glove wise, and they just prayed that I would get the throws over, as did I, and when it got to freshman year of college, they still needed a third baseman. And I had trained with the college coach for a couple of years prior to that. And I didn't, it was immaturity back then too, because I didn't really have a serious talk with him about it. But I didn't want to disappoint him, and I didn't want to disappoint myself, and I couldn't. The anxiety of it was too much at that point.
Right.
It was already 2.5 years plus of pushing myself like that, and I couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah, I played junior college. Played for like 6 minutes, really. We were walk-ons. We were already set. Now here's the thing. Me and my buddy were already set to play for another junior college, Manatee Community College. Mm-hmm. They had a great baseball team. We had another friend who graduated a couple years before us, who, in all honesty, should have gone pro. That kid was just a phenom. He was phenomenal. Right. Natural talent, speed, glove, bat, like everything, man. The guy was good.
Yeah.
But as some stories go, you get your girlfriend has a baby, you end up thinking you got to go home and work, and you never go on.
Right.
But we were ready to go there, and then my buddy goes, "Hey, man, my dad does a lot of work in North Florida in Mariana. He was talking to their coach, and they need a second baseman and a left fielder.
Mm.
And I'm a second baseman. He was an
Mhm.
outfielder, and he goes, "Why don't we go talk to the coach?" So we go talk to the coach. He's like, "I'd love to have you boys here. I looked at your stats, did the whole thing. We come on." And
Yeah.
at that time, Chipola was nationally ranked as far as junior colleges.
Okay.
I was like, "Oh, okay." So we're there. We come in. We start practices. What was funny is like they had us first thing is they were putting in new irrigation in the field, so we're digging ditches. I was like, we could have stayed home for this, dude. This is this is what we
It's
did
like,
at
oh,
home.
wait a minute.
So we're going through practices, and then a nice show called The Nerd happened, and I got cast.
Uh-huh.
And it wasn't going to interfere with games, but it would have interfered with practices.
Right.
So I remember going to Coach Hughes, going in his office, and, "Hey, Coach, I talked to you." He goes, "Hey, what's going on, Flores?" I said, "Listen, I'm a theater guy, and this is what I'm going to do. So I just got cast in a play. It will mean that I'll miss some of the practices, but I won't miss any games. Even when the shows are happening, it should be fine." And he's just like, "What are you going to make more money out of? What's your passion?"
Yeah.
I go, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Let's think about it, man. What are you 4'11"? I go, "I'm 5'6". He goes, "You're not that fast. You've got a great glove. You've got a good bat with no power." He goes, "You're a base hitter.
Yeah.
But you're not fast." He goes, "I'll be honest, you'll probably be able to transfer to a Division I team, and you might kick around in the minors if you work really hard, but is that what you want to do?" And I go, "So what you're saying is stick with baseball." And he's like,
Yeah.
"Is this what you're going to do for the rest of your life?" And I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, then I would go do that." And I said,
Yeah.
"All right, Coach."
I mean, I didn't get into performing until my senior year of high school. And half of that was because I was getting into it. But the other half was like, I was trying to impress a girl. And I know during like the early practices of my senior year, the musical was going on. And I remember vividly the stage manager walking down so that I would just go in for the run through of the one scene I was in. And, and I just remember like walking like in my uniform, like in my practice clothes or whatever, whatever, to the stage to run through my scene. I was like, wow, did I just pick this over staying at baseball practice? It was like little things like that along the way. And the college that I went to did not have a theater program. And that was something I definitely missed my first semester of college. And I transferred immediately to a different college that spring.
So we've both got baseball in our blood, and I think that's why we're drawn to this movie so much. And I think, do you think it translates to non-baseball people? Does it really translate well?
I think it depends on what you do in life, and I think a lot of, especially during this period of time where we're on a little thing called Teams all the time, or if you're Zoom meetings all the time, is we're more and more working in this team format. Maybe it plays a little bit more, but I think if you've had, as I mentioned, an ensemble in your life or a team in your life that you've worked closely with, and you all have your quirks and peculiarities along the way, if you watch something like an Aaron Sorkin, sitcom or The West Wing or whatever he has written, he always has these ensembles with their quirks and everything. I mean, it's pretty much the sports movie dynamic. They all have their foibles, and so I think on the surface, it's not something a non-baseball fan will be drawn to, but I think if you see it from with an open mind, I think it can be romanticized.
Okay. So we're talking to non-baseball people, because I'd be willing to bet every person that's played baseball, at least in our age group, has seen this movie. Definitely. And I'm willing to bet people that are playing baseball now have probably seen that are in college right now have probably seen this movie, through their dad or mom or whatever, whoever liked the movie. It's like, you got to watch this movie. It's great. So here you go. I want you to give the synopsis of the film and pitch this to non-baseball people.
A team of unique individuals are brought together to overcome a company's history of losing, and the uniformity of team outweighs the glory of victory.
Wow. You got to throw in the love story, though. You got to have
Well,
the
yeah.
love story in there as
Listen, we
well.
all wanted to drive a bullpen car to our girl's house. Come on.
So this movie, I love this movie. There's so many great moments in Major League. I mean, as soon as it starts, you've got Randy Newman singing the theme song, and it just showing clips of Cleveland. And then you get the workers, the
Right.
Japanese guys. Um,
Everyone is just over it. And I mean,
oh,
listen, you know what? When did the Cavaliers finally win the title? Cleveland suffered for nearly 30 years past 1989. They were already suffering about their sports.
Cleveland,
And
this is for you,
Cleveland.
to you.
Ali and I were at the House of Blues when they lost Game 7 of the World Series to the
Oh my God,
Marlins in
that's true.
1997.
Oh my God, that's true. How do you remember this
I
stuff?
got a weird memory, man. But that's that's like the movie immediately kind of reels you in that way because this city is suffering in a great way, much like how March to May of 2020 was in the world. We needed, a lot of people wanted sports. They were like, we need sports back. They needed a place to go to because sports help them escape, much the same way the theater helps you escape,
Yeah.
or arts helps you escape. Baseball, football, whatever helps you escape.
I think this was a clever trick by the producers or the writer, whomever,
Mhm.
was to not only do an underdog story, but there are a lot of underdog movies as sports figures, but they're making up the teams,
Mhm.
like the replacements and things like that.
Right.
This is a real underdog team.
Yeah.
Like you've already got people that know that the Cleveland Indians are notorious for losing every year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So,
that was a big part of it. I think the screenwriter slash director David S. Ward, it was from a suburb of Cleveland, so
hmm,
he had lived through that suffering, and so I think it really comes right out. I mean, the guy won an Academy Award for this thing for writing the screenplay, for God's sake. So he knows how to play those heartstrings a little bit, I think, and do the character work.
yeah, yeah. It's for those of you that have never seen it. They're going to be spoilers. Sorry, but it's essentially the Cleveland Indians. The owner has passed. His wife is taking over the team, and she wants to move the team to Miami. And the only way she can get out of her contract is to get attendance so low that they are allowed to move the team. So she decides to bring in these loser players. And one of my favorite things is that meeting of here are the players we're inviting. And one of the guys goes, this guy's dead. Well, scratch him off the list then.
She's such a great character, and I think if I remember correctly, it wasn't Marge Shot, but it was football. It was football. It was the LA Rams owner, I think, at the time. It was a similar situation.
Type of thing, yes.
Yeah, same thing. I don't know if she moved them to St. Louis or if she was the one, but it was a similar story. And I think it's so ironic that the Indians did lose that 97 World Series to the team based in Miami. It's a little thing I love about that there.
Oh my God. Yeah. So she does that. She decides to get the worst players, and I believe the only other person to know is the general manager. She's like, I want them to lose. We want to do this. And they bring in these misfits, Charlie Sheen,
Corbin Burnson.
Yeah, Corbin Burnson. God, Wesley Snipes, Mays Hayes, all these great actors. And it is an ensemble piece. It really is a good movie for that. And then it becomes it's a underdog story. They're like, you know what? They do it for spite. And there are so many people that are run on spite. It's just like, no. It's more of a, you know what? You don't think we're going to win? Fuck you. We're going to win. We're going to win. We are winning. We're doing it in spite of you. And that's what they do.
Well, yeah. And the casting is so well done. And because you look at the character actors, but also both Wesley Snipes and Rene Russo, who then became like superstars because of this movie. And, but underneath, it's those characters. And I think the glue, the bond that holds it all together is James Gammon as Lou Brown, the manager.
Yes.
Like if people are like, who's your favorite character in that? Is it Vaughn? And I'm like, no, it's Lou Brown. I mean, that is the coach I wanted when I
Yes.
was, that
He's
age.
so great. Like, and just the voice. Come on.
Hmm.
Nice
Oh,
catch. Don't ever fucking do it again. Like
yeah.
like he smoked cigarettes in the womb. Like that voice, that's the thing.
Yeah.
It's like, holy cow, dude. I love his line when they ask him, "Hey, do you want to be the how would you like to manage the Indians?" I don't know.
I got a guy out on the other line who wants a pair of white walls. He's working in like the tire shop in the off season because he's a minor league coach. But that also, again, is things you forget. Like back then, is that so many ball players had jobs in the off season because the money wasn't there back then. Uh, but everything, and I go back to those details and the things that were happening underneath. And the fact that they leave in during the whole big wild thing entrance, when they leave the moment of him, he likes it up out over the plate, so bust him in.
Mm-hmm.
Like the fact that you're leaving that much in, and then at the end he's like, "You're my guy, go get him." Like,
yeah,
you want the affirmation. I was like, that's what I want. I want that. I want the coach to speak
exactly.
to me that way.
Yes,
you're my guy, go get him. That's what I want to hear. When you're a tough ass, you better follow it up with that.
Mm-hmm. Like, let's do it. A little bit of trivia. They like nowadays, they kind of, you bring in 50 extras,
Mm-hmm.
then you just map it, you digitally recreate them all over the
Right.
stands, and now you've got
Mm-hmm.
a full thing. They had 20,000 fans, extras,
Mm-hmm.
that were there.
Yeah.
So they were able to really shoot, sections of the stadium. Sure,
Mm-hmm.
they had to move them around, but 20,000 people to be extras.
It's really, and I think that's what makes, no spoilers, but the glory of the slide at home there at the end. I'm sure you're going to get there eventually, but the fan, those extras were so into it. And
Yes.
it really enhanced the environment and the atmosphere of the movie.
Yeah, I think this film is shot really well.
Mm-hmm.
I think that, just some of the, I'm assuming the DP, created a lot of these shots, and the director wanted that stuff to be done, but it looks really well done.
Mm-hmm.
Bringing the fans in, catching, and it looks like they catch, just like a real game, you catch people at certain moments, parts of the section, they don't even realize they're on camera.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I
Right.
think I have a feeling, because I've done, some television, some movie
Right.
stuff, that they kept, they just said, all right, I need some big stuff, big blah, blah, blah,
Mm-hmm.
go crazy, do your thing. Some of you guys are bored. Some of you guys are doing this, but we got to make it real.
Mm-hmm.
And they just kept going. They're like, we're just going to keep the camera going for as long as we can do it. And which catches some people doing some stuff, but it looks very real.
Mm-hmm.
And it's different because the baseball games I'm watching now, fans are horrible.
I mean,
Oh,
they're practically wooden over at City Field when I'm watching Mets games.
No energy whatsoever. All it reminds me of by doing that is, and I just saw this movie recently. God dang it, what's it? Hot Shots.
Oh yeah.
And Lloyd Burgess going, hey, Jimmy, and he's looking at a painting. He goes, I went to school with that guy. Nothing. It's just a painting.
And that's a great point. Just in general, mentioning Hot Shots, but coming off like the airplane movies and Naked Gun. Naked Gun was a couple of years before Major League. Like, so that's what comedy was to me during that time. And this was something I loved, baseball, with the goofy comedy that I was really starting to like. But underneath it was this heart that I think goes a long way. You got a sense that the players really cared about one another.
And that's what makes a film. That's what makes a comedy, is the real. That's what I try to tell people. Don't ever try to be funny.
Mm-hmm.
Just be real, and then the comedy comes from that. If you're sitting there always, like back in the day, it was always waka waka,
Right.
There's the joke.
Yeah.
I just showed you, punchline. Here's where you're supposed to laugh.
Mm-hmm.
But there are great moments in that film where things are so funny, but it's based out of the real part, and then it's got a lot of heart to it.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Serrano, who, by the way, best Spanish accent ever in a movie.
Is that you going? You going there?
That I mean, it's that one, and then Al Pacino in Scarface, like right there, best Spanish accent
Oh my
ever in a
gosh.
film. It's so bad. It's so bad. Because and it's not when he's speaking English; it's when he's speaking Spanish.
Right.
It's so bad.
Yeah.
But you've got the moment with him where he comes out in the beginning. He's like, "Hats for bats, gracias,"
Mhm.
and it's like, "Whoa, you can't have that." And at the end, they're all they're friends. They and you've even got the pitcher. Oh God, what's his name? Who's got Barbadol? He's got
Yeah,
Barbadol, Vagis
rub a little jalapeno in my nose.
nose. Get
I knew
that
you were gonna
running.
go there, so I'm like trying to scroll through to make sure I
What's
can find his character's name.
what's his name? I can't believe I don't have that in my head right now.
It's Harris, right? It's Eddie Harris.
Harris.
Yeah,
That's it.
yeah,
So, and then you see him warming up for that big game, and he's got Joe Boo next to him. Like
yeah.
it's like they had that rivalry going.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it tackles a lot of issues. I feel like he definitely Harris is very Christian, and Serrano is Serrano, and to see them able to come together and meet in the middle. I mean, boy, would we use a little more of that in our lives right now?
Right. He left Cuba for religious persecution. What's he? What religion? Voodoo. No.
Yeah.
Some of my favorite quotes of all time come from that movie because it's going to come from the character we have not talked about, who I feel is the heart and soul of this movie,
Mm-hmm.
and that's Harry Doyle.
Yeah.
Bob Uecker's Harry Doyle is so good.
He does for Major League, basically what John Williams did for the original Star Wars movie. He is the soundtrack of that movie.
Wow.
I went there too. That's how I feel. Yeah. It is. I mean, the energy involved, the highs and lows, when they're bad, his energy, and when he's up, he's up. I mean, it really, everything about it is so great.
Oh, it's phenomenal. It's so good. His lines are great. And he's going as all right, today's game was sponsored by, I can't, to hell with it.
Yeah.
He's so great. One of my other favorite lines from him is we got two hit batsmen, one hit. Don't got one goddamn hit. Goddamn on the air. Who gives a shit? Nobody's listening.
But it is done in a way, and again, I feel like I think at that point he was the dad on Mr. Belvedere. Obviously, we know him from the Miller Lite commercials that spanned that entire 80s decade, so we knew how funny he was to begin with. But again, I think they could have copped out on it, I guess, by having him do scenes with the players. Like, it's like, no, you're just broadcasting these games. This is your role. This is what you do. You are the voice of this movie, basically. Mm-hmm. And it does. His voice carries with the arc of that movie.
Yes, very much so. Yeah, I love his. So I don't even know if the guy's credited because he rarely says anything, but he's got to have a credit. He does have a line, I believe.
Right.
But his color man, he's not the best color man in the business for nothing.
Yeah.
He's just there. Oh, yeah, of course he has a line. I just said his line. You can't say goddamn in the radio. It's great.
The best, yeah. It's kind of like, again, the perfect kind of the straight man face. That's all Euchre needed was like his face, an expression, pale expression every time Euchre said something inappropriate. Harry Doyle said something inappropriate.
And then you've got another scene stealer, the featured people in the stands. It's too high. It's too high. Too hard. What do you mean it's too high? It's too high, I thought. Who gives a shit? It's gone.
Yeah.
They're prominent from beginning to end.
Right, they're like the Greek chorus. We're gonna make this as serious as possible. They're the Greek chorus of Major League. That's right. There's a Greek chorus in Major League.
I think they represent Everman, the fan.
Yeah.
They represent the Everman fan, the Ever fan, who are diehard because they were there banging the drums when no one's in attendance.
Yep.
And they're there going crazy, and yeah, it's
That's
such.
it. I'm gonna reboot this as a Greek drama, and you'll just see the fans chanting at the beginning with their.
Holy cow. Um, one of my favorite. What's one of your favorite scenes aside from the ending? That's great.
Yeah.
But what's one of your favorite scenes in the film?
Going back to Lou Brown, just in spring training, which again is hilarious to see them all like bunking on bunk beds in the in the area, and they carry out Willie Mays Hayes' cot there, and
Yep.
he's like, "What? I've been cut already?" and then he just starts racing down with the two guys doing sprints. Like the whole sequence involved in spring training, there, before the games start in spring training is awesome when he's all right, don't give me this Olay bullshit, and every time you play one off your hip, I want you to give me 20 sit-ups. What?
What? Yes. What is it? Every time he pops one up, he's got to do push-ups.
Yeah. So all of that, even just, but again, going back to like the heart underneath the comedy of it is just talking to Jake Taylor, who we have not mentioned in this entire thing. He's basically the romantic lead of this movie, and we have not touched on Jake Taylor yet. And, just talking about how your knee's doing. We need a real leader. We need someone to guide this team. Like they're getting into character work while all this goofy stuff is going on. It's so awesome.
Yes, and you're absolutely right. The characters are so rich. You've got, when they call Jake Taylor, which is something I was about to bring up, was when they call him and he's in the Mexican leagues. He's like, "Is this you, Tolbert?" And he's like, "You want to play for? We'd like to bring you into spring training for the Indians." "Yep." "Is this you, Tolbert?" "I'm hungover. If you're gonna pull this shit, you could have at least said you were from the Yankees." Click.
Yeah.
And he is the beat down. He's been in and out of the majors for a while. His knees are shot. And what you're talking about, when Lou Brown comes to him in preseason, and he says, "How are your knees? How are your knees, kid?" "Oh, they feel great. They feel great." "It's all right. We need a leader. I don't need I don't need anybody lying to me." He goes, "I wouldn't bullshit you. You better if you want to stay on this team."
Yeah. So, and then he throws one down at second base and one hops, and he's like, "Shit," Yeah. You could just you see that everyone, every one of these guys is struggling in some way, and they all get their moments, and especially in that final game, they all get to play a part in it, which is really great.
And I love Jake Taylor's leadership in it. Like when Dorn, doesn't dive for the ball.
Yeah.
And that's finally when, Vaughn is, starting to get things running. He's being able to pitch. He's got his glasses,
right.
And he's starting to do that. And he could have lost the game. And he goes to his house. I think it's great when he goes there. He's like, "You need some financial problem? You having financial problems?" Yeah, I'm fine. Just want to talk about that, that ball in the third where you almost tanked, you tanked it. And, he does it really well. He's like, "You know what? I used to love it when you were just a baseball player." He goes, "But if you ever tank a ball again, I'm going to cut your balls off and stuff it down your fucking throat." One of my favorite scenes is the scene where Jake follows her to her apartment, the penthouse, because the elevator just opens and there they are, and they're having a dinner party or a cocktail party or whatever. And one of the ladies is like, "Oh, hi, how are you?" "Yeah, I was just trying to get a book," and her fiance, what a douche he was, just being, "Oh, so yes, Jake is a Major League Baseball player." "Oh, so I hear baseball players." The one girl who wanted to bang him, like she was looking him up and down in that movie.
Yeah.
She was like, she's with her man right next to her. It's like, "I hear they make a lot of money." "Well, I make the league minimum." You know what the league minimum was back then?
Oh man, in 1989, it had to be less than 200 grand, right?
Oh, it was way less. League minimum, it was 66.
Wow.
66. Now the average family household was 33, I think, or something like that. So he's making double the average. But league minimum back then was 66 grand.
Yeah, I remember back there, whether it's a couple of years before, or, when Ricky Henderson signed the $3 million a year contract. It was such a big deal. $3 million a year. But
Yeah.
but Rene Russo's character was a swimmer, or it wasn't a
Yes.
gymnast, right? It was a
No,
swimmer,
it's a
right?
swimmer
Yeah. Yeah.
because
She just
that's my favorite part is when
yeah.
like, so what are you plans? Well, I figured I'd retire and get married, have a couple of kids that become Olympic champions, Olympic athletes or something like that.
Yeah.
Really, really? Do you have the girl in mind? Yeah, I did, but I wasn't smart enough to hold on to her. And then that one guy, wait,
Are
you were
you?
an athlete, weren't you? Yes.
Hmm.
What I was 200 because he names it 200
Right.
medley or something like that. He
Yeah.
actually says what it's going to be. She's like
Yeah.
200 medley with it. Oh, and then they're just the uncomfortable. So
So
good.
great, though. Yeah. So great.
Oh,
I mean, yeah, and again, that's another scene where, yeah, and interspersed with like really well done baseball scenes, or this really fun, you know, moving the characters forward. Because even for Rene Russo's character, it was, she came a long way from just being in the library at the beginning and then being at the game at the end. Is just to see that character building again as a teenager watching it
mhm.
was like just nice to see, like just to see how he had to prove himself for her. He
Yes.
had to come around. He was not a good. He was drunk in Mexico
Mhm.
at the beginning, and that wasn't going to be good enough for her.
No.
Valuable lessons as a
Yeah,
teenager for me.
and for those of you that are listening, watching, if you're watching this on YouTube, um, Rene who and are too young to know exactly who Rene Russo is. Rene Russo is Thor's mom. There you go.
That's
Now you got it.
now
Thor's mom.
the more you know.
That's her. But this is back in 1989, so she was way hotter. Um, so speaking of hot,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
there is one particular scene and camera angle that has always been ingrained in my body because
Yeah.
1989, I am a junior or a senior in high school because
Mm-hmm.
well, no, I am 89. No, I'm a
Sophomore,
sophomore.
freshman. Yeah.
Yeah, because I graduated in 92. So
Yeah. So I
no,
know
I
you're
was a
freshman.
freshman,
Yeah.
freshman in high school. And this scene stuck with me. And I always, anytime it shows up, I'm like, it's the scene. It's when Dorn's wife
Mm-hmm.
finds out that Dorn is cheating on her because the freaking news people, the media,
The
always
media,
the
they ruin
media.
everything.
Uh,
Why? We can't trust those guys.
and so she decides to get revenge by picking up
Mm-hmm.
Vaughn. And Vaughn had no clue who she was. So after the scene picks up, he's coming out of bed. She's putting her skirt on, but the camera is right behind her left butt cheek, and she just flips the skirt. I'm like, wow, that's an amazing, and it doesn't show much. It's just a butt cheek, and she's putting it
Yeah.
on. But it was such a sexy fucking shot for me. I'm like, that was the best thing I've ever seen in my life.
I mean, I think that's what's so funny about, and I don't know if just growing up with cable TV, cable TV was new. It just felt like, I felt like as a teenager, and maybe you feel the same way, like the smaller reveals were bigger in some ways
Yes.
than the all out, like Revenge of the Nerds stuff or something like that. Like when you saw just a glimpse, a tease or whatever, I don't know, that just went a longer way with me.
That still
I
goes a
agree.
longer way for me.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I had a girlfriend that would always, we'd be hanging around the house and she would wear like a tank top with no bra when we were going to bed.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, I could see her whenever I wanted to, but it was always hotter when she would have it and I could like see a little side boob, but it wasn't much. And I've seen her naked. Like I know that,
Right.
but it was always the hottest thing. I'm like, oh, I'm going to jump on that soon. You keep doing it.
Right.
And,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
It's always the tease. The tease is always way better.
Yeah.
Speaking of the tease, okay, so let's get to what motivates this team to win. Because right now we've gotten, the whole thing. So that is one of my favorite things as well. That's how you motivate a team. They find out, or the general manager goes to Lou and finally says, "You really believe we got a shot?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "She won't let it happen." I can't remember her character name. but she won't let it happen because she's trying to move the team. She wants it to go. And they've taken everything away from them. Took away their plane, took
Yeah.
away
The
the
plane, the propeller
whirlpool.
plane stuff is so great. Dorn with the mask on the plane and the thunderstorm, and he's like freaking out, and he's got his night mask on. Oh my God, it's so funny.
So, they take everything away and they're still winning and they're starting to win a little bit. Then they bring up the cardboard cutout and he has the team meeting.
Yeah.
And he says, she does not think too fondly of us. She would like us to finish dead last.
Yeah.
We are, I cannot remember the name, how many games we are out. We're out of first this many games, but every time we win, we peel a section. So it's the cutout of her.
Yeah. Rachel Phelps. Yeah.
Rachel Phelps.
Yeah.
Cut out of her in a leopard print, like skin tight skirt.
Yeah. I think they had like 32 games left, and every time that we win a game, another layer.
I peel a section. They're like, yeah, and then they would always cut back to, and then I think she was left to like in a bikini or something like that.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh my goodness, that, and you know what? That's a great motivation.
Mm-hmm.
And and I think it's Jake that says this too. We can either give up, or what I think we should do is win the whole fucking thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, and then Serrano with a cigar. Yes. Just sitting there.
Yeah.
Watching Eddie Harris throw the ball. When that guy, oh my God, number one was way too old to be playing.
Mm-hmm.
Way too old, and has never really played because it was so
placement.
Yeah, it was just so painful, so slow coming in. It was just bad. Now, Ricky Vaughn, however, was pretty good. Like he could throw, and he did pitch in high school.
Right. But he took the roids, he said, who he claims.
He said so he could try and get his speed up.
And there was something, I think they said that he could throw in the 80s during this. So,
and what they did was, especially the last scene, or any game that you'd see him, you could get the speed.
Yeah.
They moved the mound up 10 feet.
Oh, okay.
So he's still throwing.
Yeah.
He was throwing 80s.
Right.
Which is moving. I mean, it's BP normally, but it's coming.
Mm-hmm.
But if you move it 10 feet up, man, it's coming in quick.
Oh yeah, it's coming hard. Yeah.
And so when they would camera, they'd film behind, the catcher. You don't know how far it is.
Yeah.
And it's boom.
Yeah.
But yeah, the buildup that they have for this, just leading up, and then you can see it. You can see the play getting better because in the beginning, they're dropping balls. No one's communicating.
Right.
And then you see it just getting better. The play, Dorn's making awesome plays, stopping the ball. He's got all the bruises on his body. It's like everyone wants to win this freaking championship.
Yeah, it really comes through, and there's the awesome sequence throughout. They do the American Express commercial in the middle of the push towards the postseason, and it's so funny because the music in a lot of the sequences it's very electronic 80s kind of thing. It has, but the other movie I think of around the same time frame, which is Hoosiers, for a movie based in the 50s, there's a lot of electronic music in that, but somehow it works. And it's so fantastic, but it has that similar feel, to Hoosiers, and it really supports the action you're seeing.
Yeah. And I think they the music obviously helped so much with building it up. Mm-hmm. I think they did a really good job creating the game.
Yeah.
Where several innings were just kind of which is baseball. It's like there's not much. You have a couple of great plays, especially in a high stakes game like that. You're bringing in different pitchers. People get close to, it's great. And then they build it up. And then I love the fact that, two things. Number one, great way to bring up a hated team to be the rival. the Yankees, everyone hates the Yankees except Yankee fans. But everyone else, no one's indifferent. No one sits there and goes, no, fuck the Yankees, or I love the Yankees. So it was nice to see that, because the Yankees have always been the king, the giants, of baseball. They've won so many freaking, championships. It's crazy. So it's nice to have that as the rival. So they've got that good buildup. And then you've got the rivalry between Haywood and Vaughn.
Yeah.
So we bring in Vaughn, and Serrano finally gets that, hits a curveball.
Hits a curveball, yeah.
Which,
finally that he does it himself, right? I mean, again, lessons we're learning as teenagers. It's just like, no, I could do this myself. I don't need. And I don't need to pray to anything or get outside influence. I just need to know what's inside me to know I can hit a curveball.
Yeah. My only thing was, there are a couple of things that I go, okay. One, he wouldn't have lasted 5 games because everyone would have just thrown curveballs and he never hits it. Like, he wouldn't have made it that far. Like, who's dumb enough to go, I'm going to throw him a fastball? Like, no, just keep throwing curveballs. And then 2, the fact that the owner is still rooting, you're not winning by now. Like, by now, your attendance is way higher.
Right. Yeah.
Like, you've already lost that a long time ago.
And what's funny, Ali, is, and I'm only going to source the Wikipedia on this because it is, I just scrolled through this morning to see if I can remember character names, things like that. And it talked about, on one of the DVD collections, an alternate ending where she tells Lou that she's just doing it as a motivator. But the test audiences said that they liked her better as the villain, and that's why they kept it. But I was like, I've never heard that.
No.
As much as I know about this movie, and I probably only have an older version of the DVD, but apparently there's a scene where Lou goes to tell her off, and she's like, no, I don't. I'm just doing this as motivation.
Yeah, I think the fans are right. I think if we knew that, like, if that came out at the end, at the very end, maybe,
right,
something like that, then we could accept it. But if you bring it out, if we know all the way through,
but you're in the. I mean, are you getting the line in the middle of Wild Thing then when she goes, "I hate this fucking song"? Like, are you getting that?
No,
it is
that's
money.
a great line. That is a great line.
Delivery is perfect.
And then the GM is like, "Sit down." And he's like, he's just clapping, he's applauding. Yeah, Serrano's thing, and then just to set up with Willie Mays Hayes getting a hit, getting the first. And then also, and it's full circle because that was his first hit. The first hit was against them. Haywood's right there at first. He's like, he goes, where are you going somewhere, meet? About 90 feet was then. But back then he was like, what's that? He goes, I bought 100 of these, one for every base I'm going to steal.
Right.
He goes, time to take my first steps to the Hall of Fame. It's hard to get to the Hall of Fame with your shoes untied. Boom. And he gets picked off.
Oh, man.
So it's really nice to see that come full circle, and he's there, and he gets to steal that base. He got him at second. And just the buildup of Jake calling his shot.
Yeah.
You know.
He's calling his shot.
Oh, my God.
This hasn't been done since Babe Ruth in the 93 World Series.
Just insane. I'm not going to give it all away. I don't want to give the thing that happens, but
I think you should give it all away. What are you talking about?
Give it all away. Okay, so
well, because I think the other okay, that and because everything in that final play is amazing, cinematically speaking, to me as a baseball fan and as a movie fan. The bunt itself is
not a good bunt, but it worked. It worked. It was there.
But you have the nobody for the Yankees who you haven't seen the entire movie playing third base. And to give him the moment where he goes, shit. His
eye, it's a great thing. Just fuck. And he's got to go because he wasn't expecting it because Jake's calling his shot. And this is another thing. Unless you're a baseball fan, you don't know that if you're calling your shot, you are going to get some chin music. You are going to get, dusted up close like that. And they went at him, and he's like, "Whoa!" And he comes back up, doesn't even dust himself off. Yeah, he points again. He's like, "Oh!"
And then everyone in that sequence is amazing because Steve Yeager, who was the catcher for the Dodgers forever, was the third base coach. And if you just watch him coaching Willie Mays Hayes coming around third.
Yes.
Spot on.
Perfect.
Spot on. Perfect. Running alongside him at the
Yes.
end. Like, come on.
It's
Like,
so good.
It is so good. And then the first baseman of the Yankees is played by Pete Vukovich, who pitched for the Brewers, I guess, as an all-star, right?
Yeah.
So there is what happens on the bunt call. There is the split second that he turns to the ump like, what?
Yeah.
And that was it.
That gives you just a little bit of time.
That's all you need. That split second cost him.
And those of us that have played baseball, what did coaches always say? Just finish the play, argue after.
Yeah.
Don't just finish off the play. Make sure you're staying in the moment.
Yeah.
You don't know what's going on. And it gives.
No, we'll give it all away because just to go back and watch for all those details and Harry Doyle's commentary over it and reaction at the end of the play.
The reaction is so great and also nice. I wonder how much he trained, by the way, because he had some pretty good slides. That hook slide is good.
The hook slide is good.
A good hook slide.
Yeah.
Coming around like that. But Doyle's reaction, man, Euchre's reaction is
the music and Euchre's reaction and the reaction of Willie Mays Hayes and the dugout and the crowd comes in. Like, that play doesn't even happen anymore because they put the shift on Jake Taylor. Maybe he bunts down to nobody.
Exactly. They would have put the shift on. He was done. It's such a great. And then Renee Russo doesn't have her wedding or her engagement ring anymore. Right. So there's the love thing that happens. It's one of my favorite movies. It has heart, it has drama, like in suspense, and just it's so good.
Dorn punches Vaughn in the celebration and then picks him up and hugs him like, I got it, we're done, it's over.
I only got one thing to say to you. Strike this motherfucker out. Doom. You're like, all right.
Yeah. And another part of that Wild Thing sequence, with Rachel Phelps's line delivery about the song and Lou Brown giving the directions to how to pitch to the batter is Dorn in the background, just like hitting the mitt, waiting.
So it's good. Such a good, and I read somewhere that the first person that Vaughn goes to celebrate with in the thing is an actual former player who was there the last time the Indians were like.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's cool.
It was one of those hidden little gems, trivia things. I was like, shut up.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool. Like he's there on the field with him.
In sports celebration, in movies with sports celebrations, where does this rank? Can you think, what are some of your favorite sports celebration moments? Because my dad, growing up, whenever these sports movies came out on video, for months, he would just, before he went out at night, he would put on like from the climactic moment to the end of the movie. Like that, like the last 20 minutes of a sports movie would be on for months, upstairs in his bedroom.
This is a good one. This is a really good sports celebration. And a lot of times they don't show the whole celebration. A lot of movies, they cut it right at the very beginning of the celebration or they cut to something else.
Right.
But this one, you get to see the whole thing. You get to see the fans. You get to see, the announcer, the call guy, everything. And then you get to see the love story going. This is one of the – I'd put it up there with the Rocky celebration, Rocky celebration when he wins and Adrian.
Yeah.
Which is why I hate my first name. Or I used to hate my first name. Adrian. That whole thing.
Yeah. Hoosiers is up there.
Yes.
Again, that's a music thing too. The music of that I think is so great in Hoosiers that I think that really enhances it. But that's a great one too. The big game in Hoosiers is good too. But even the Ollie game when he does the underhand free throws is also very good.
Which, by the way, sucked for me, even though my name's not Ollie. It's Ali. And
man, you had it hard.
I did play basketball in high school for a year, and I was the smallest, but I could shoot. I didn't do underhand. All right, so we've talked about the movie, and you're gonna freaking ace these because you've already answered most of them.
Oh, really? Oh, awesome! I'm ready.
So here are our 10 questions, and I thought I was gonna stump you. I had a bonus question, and I thought I was gonna stump you with it.
And I already said it.
We've already talked about it. Son of a. Okay, so we've talked about this one. What year did Major League debut?
Yeah, 1989.
1989.
I thought opening night too. It was April of 1989, probably the first weekend of April.
Holy cow!
Yeah.
What kind of car does Willie Mays Hayes drive?
I don't know my cars well enough to begin with as Frank the person to know what he was driving. Was he driving like a Studebaker? What was he driving?
Willie Mays Hayes drives up in practice in the spring training.
Uh-huh.
It's
No way.
perfect because Corbin Burnson, Dorn, drives up in his beautiful Rolls.
Uh-huh.
The next car
Maybe
you
that's
see
what-
drive up is Willie Mays Hayes, who comes right up to the coaches
Mhm.
in a Volkswagen Beetle
Ah.
made to look like it had a hood of a Rolls Royce.
Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah, I was picturing it. I mean, maybe I was thinking more about Dorn's car with the old car, but that's funny.
Yeah, his was the Rolls. What book does Jake read? For
Moby Dick.
Moby Dick.
Yeah. He was the comic.
Where did Bob Uecker actually call games?
Well, does he still call games with the Milwaukee Brewers? Because that, right?
I don't know if he still does. I don't.
Yeah. Was he?
I don't
mean,
know.
He was a couple of years.
But yes,
ago,
he was the
yeah.
Brewers. What does Lou do when Dorn brings up a grievance in spring training?
he urinates on his contract. Classic sound
Nice.
of classic Foley artist stuff right there too with the zipper sound.
Yes. and Foley with the freaking page. You're in the contract.
Yeah.
Which actor made their film debut in this movie? First film ever.
First film ever.
For this actor.
Was it Snipes?
No.
Was it Dennis Haysbert?
Now, please understand that when I say actor, it could be male, it could be female.
I mean, I'm going to give one more go and say it's Rene Russo's first movie.
It is Rene Russo's first movie.
Oh, wow.
First movie ever. What's the name of the GM of the Indians? We know Lou.
I don't think I know it. Is it Charlie?
That's his first name.
Oh, God. I only remember Charlie. Wait, let me give me a second. It's not like not Becker. No. No, I don't know it.
Charlie Donovan.
Charlie Donovan. Oh, man.
Yep, Charlie Donovan. Okay, what is Willie Mays Hayes' line at the end of the American Express commercial? I do have multiple choice on this if you'd like to hear them.
No, can I try it first?
You can try it first.
Don't steal home without it.
That's it.
Yeah.
My choices were A, don't slide home without it.
Oh, okay.
B, use this card, motherfucker. And C, don't steal home without it.
See, I'm glad I didn't get the multiple choice because I would have second guessed myself. I would have overthought it.
Okay. I kind of feel like I should switch questions because I think you're going to get the bonus one because you've mentioned it. And these last two questions are pretty tough. How fast were the last three pitches that Ricky Vaughn throws?
97, 99, and 101.
Boom!
Yeah!
Boom! Wow!
I'll give it Bob Uecker right there.
Wow! Nice. Nice. I wasn't expecting you to get that one. I thought you would get the 101. And I was like, the other two are going to be.
Yeah, I was like, oh, is it 98, 100? But I was like, I think the last one's 101. So I'll just go odds.
Okay, so how fast was Ricky Vaughn really throwing? You mentioned it.
I mean, he was throwing in the 80s, right? But I don't know if it was in the movie or in high school that he threw. It was
in the movie. In the movie. This is part of his interview when he talks about taking steroids, and he talks about how fast he actually got up to because of the steroids.
I'll just say 80, 85.
You son of a bitch.
Oh.
85. He said he got up to 85.
Nice.
Yeah, still pretty good, man.
All right.
That's nice.
I've watched the movie a lot, so the fact that I couldn't remember the Volkswagen, I'm gonna beat myself up about the Volkswagen now for the rest of the time.
So here was the bonus one. So you've only missed one, which was the Beetle, and the bonus question was the guy who played Haywood was a real Major League Baseball player, played for the Brewers for 11 years. How many home runs did he hit?
Well, you know, I mean. I'm assuming they only play in the American League. I would say 0.
That is correct.
Yeah.
0. And you got his name right. And I was going to ask
Pete
what the name was to
Vukovic.
follow it. Yeah, 0. Because he looks like a freaking outfielder. I mean,
Oh
he
my
looks
gosh.
like a beast.
Yeah. I mean, Milwaukee playing in the National League now probably wishes they had a
Yeah.
pitcher who could bang like that.
8 of his 11 seasons, he never had an at-bat.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I guess not. And the only thing I was thinking of was, like, did he have to hit in the 82 World Series when the Brewers played the Cardinals? I mean, but
Yeah,
that's,
yeah,
that's a
that was
trick.
really cool. So nice work out of you, Mr. Cardillo.
Yeah.
You know Major League, man.
Too well.
Dude, this was awesome, man. I'm glad you were able to jump on board. One of my favorite movies. And, dude, the mimosa,
Oh, yeah.
the holy mimosa was delicious. I finished it already.
I'm at
it
the
is
end
done.
here. So I was saving it for the end. Good to the last drop.
Good to the last drop. Here we go. I'll take my last drop. That was awesome. You host a podcast as well, so please tell everybody where they can find you, everything that you're up to.
Yeah, I do a podcast with my sister that is nostalgia based in all things Disney. It's called Theme Park Thursday with Dillo's Diz. The last portion of my name there, Cardillo, and Dillo's Diz with the Z. And you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Dillo's Diz, Dillo's with the S, Diz with the Z, dillosdiz.com. We got the podcast every Thursday morning. It drops, and we've got a lot of guests. Ali is probably our most frequent guest at this point. He's probably our most recurring guest. But that is primary focus right now, creatively speaking. So we've been having a lot of fun with that. So Theme Park Thursday with Dillo's Diz every Thursday morning.
Awesome, brother. And for those of you for joining us, thank you so much for joining us here on Real Drinks with Ale Flores. You can find us on Facebook, Real Drinks with Ale Flores, at Real Drinks Podcast. YouTube, be sure to look for our YouTube page, Real Drinks with Ale Flores. We're going to post all of our interviews and movies and drinks there. So thank you, everyone, for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Frank, for coming on board, man. And we'll see you guys next time.